Today's story involves a 36-year-old postal worker who was also a father, and how his life was tragically taken over a place in line at a New York City deli. Today's goal is to keep the memory of Ray Hodge III alive and to shed light on how one wrong decision can change your life forever. Familia, let's gather around this kitchen table. We gotta talk. Ray Alexander Hodge III was born October 18th, 1988 to his beautiful mother, Ada L. Rice, and his father, Ray A. Hodge Jr. at Harlem Hospital here in New York City. He was one of several of his siblings and was described to be everything his parents taught him to be. His mother instilled kindness and respect into him, and it was reported that he was one of the gentlest of souls, truly a humble, down-to-earth kind of guy. Although born in Harlem, Ray grew up and went to school back and forth between the South Bronx and Harlem, which, by the way, if you did not know, the Bronx and Harlem are literally next door neighbors. That's from the east side of Harlem to the west side of Harlem. You can find plenty of exits, bridges, trains, buses, and highways that'll take you back and forth between the two fairly quickly, depending on your point A and point B. But anyway, reportedly, Ray had a strong love and belief in God, and some other things he was passionate about, included but not limited to sports, his family, his friends, and those who knew him in his neighborhood. He had a magnetic energy and possessed this admirable way of connecting with people, especially through his humor. He could make you belt out a hearty laugh. He exhibited determination, as he wasn't no slouch. Ray was known to have motion in the best way. He was really big on showing people respect, and this is the second time I'm saying that because it plays a big role in the story later. In addition to being the guy everyone wanted to be around, he was described to be the rock of his family, a loyal brother, a son, a loyal friend. Ray also worked as a mail carrier for the United States Postal Service in Harlem. So the people in the neighborhood he delivered mail to also attested to his kind spirit. Literally all the citizens of the neighborhood, from store owners to residents of the tenement buildings, all say the same thing about Ray, that he was friendly, a sweetheart, sociable, just truly, a sincere, gentle soul. And if you ran into Ray, he would make you feel significant, like you mattered. He was warm and he was welcoming. His co-workers got to experience the best side of him as well, as it was reported that he was a dedicated, dependable employee and worked well alongside his team at the USPS. As you can imagine, or as you may know if you ever worked for the USPS, or maybe you might know someone who does, the job of being a mail carrier can be physically demanding and challenging at times. But Ray kept his co-workers motivated with encouraging words and that positive, upbeat attitude that he brought to work. Outside of that job, Ray was also a basketball coach for the youth. In the same way he was the rock for his family, the one you looked forward to at work or in the neighborhood, it was the same way he showed up for his players on his team. He taught them to be focused, teamwork, and how to bounce back from challenges in life and on the court. Whenever he wasn't coaching, he'd either be playing flag football or playing video games. But the best role of all that he played in his lifetime was the role of being a dad. According to his obituary, Ray was a father to 3 little boys, and it's reported that he got his skills of being a dad from his own dad. Apparently, he and his father, Ray Jr., shared a special bond, and his father taught him how to show up in the world as the highly regarded young man he grew to be. Now, with all these wonderful things being said about him, what could have possibly happened for someone to take his life? Well, it was Thursday, January 2nd, 2025 at approximately 2:30 p.m. when Ray entered the deli grocery store at 168 Lenox Avenue between West 118th and 119th Streets during his shift. And this was a grocery store he frequently went into. So he went in to order himself a sandwich. Now, coming in right after him was 24-year-old Jaya Cruz, who was also ready to place her order. The deli worker there said Jaya was also a regular customer. Apparently, an argument between the two struck up over who was going to place their food order first. According to CBSNews.com, the deli worker stated that during the verbal dispute, Jaya became irate and spat in Ray's face. And so, as you can imagine, of course, Ray reacted. And so he picked up a bottle of lemon juice that was within his reach and he launched it at Jaya. At this point, things escalated more when Jaya proceeded to retrieve a knife seemingly out of nowhere and began viciously stabbing Ray. multiple times, causing him to drop to the hard floor before Jaya cowardly ran out of the store. The deli worker stated, quote, "I separate them. The male guy in the front, the lady, she was in the back. She spit on him in his face. And male guy, he got mad. Lemon juice next to the coffee machine, he threw on her. So she took the knife. This is so bad. This is my first time seeing this happen in front of my face." End quote. According to the New York Post, the deli worker also stated, quote, "He was in the store counting his money to check how much he had to order. She came in after him and she had bags, probably from the supermarket. She put her bags by the coffee machine and she came to order. He told her he's trying to order his sandwich and she started arguing with him. I told him it wasn't worth it." End quote. The deli worker and multiple witnesses present expressed how they attempted to separate the two during their argument, and at one point they were successful. But Jaya was fixated on attacking Ray. The deli worker said once he saw Jaya pull out a knife, he moved out the way. He said Ray tried to wrestle the knife out of Jaya's hand, but to no avail. After stabbing him in his torso, chest, and neck, she dropped the weapon next to his body before she fled. Ray was rushed to Harlem Hospital where he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries. Just like that. Just that fast, Ray's life was gone. Jaya was arrested pretty soon after the homicide. It was reported to have been later that night. Apparently, police caught up to her in the lobby of her building, and when they saw her, they arrested her immediately and she was denied bail. She had her first court appearance that was scheduled for January 8th. She didn't physically show up, but her attorney did stand in for her, and she foolishly entered a not guilty plea. On Thursday, January 23rd, Jaya made her first physical appearance at court. Her attorney claims that Jaya was not the aggressor and that Ray was, and that there's unreleased video evidence from the deli showing Ray berating her, calling her transphobic and homophobic slurs, and inviting her to a physical fight.
Cruz's defense attorney responded with a completely different characterization of the yet-to-be publicly released surveillance video, alleging that Cruz was backed up against a fridge inside the deli and used the knife to defend herself against Hodge, the alleged aggressor. Quote, "He started this. And then after he berates her, he removes his jacket, rolls up his sleeves, and says, 'Let's fight,' adding, Hodge then allegedly used a pair of homophobic slurs. Quote, he calls her a T-word and an F-word.
Defense attorney Schumann stated, quote, "He rolls up his sleeves and then he hits my client. And every time he approaches her, she backs up. And he approaches her again. She backs up until she's all the way at the refrigerator. And then when he's still berating her and calling her a F-bomb and a T-bomb, she spat at him. You can see on the video that she's saying to him, 'Leave me alone.' But he doesn't leave her alone. He attacks her again." End quote. Those who showed up to court in support of Ray believe the defense attorney is just saying whatever to sway the story on their side, but overall the act of violence there was too much and it was uncalled for, and I agree.
But we did hear from Ray Hodge's family.
People shouldn't be violent towards each other regardless. The altercation happened over an argument, and it led to Cruz reaching for a weapon, which wasn't called for. Now either one of them can't go home.
What did you think about the two accounts that you heard from the prosecution and the defense? Because they were night and day different.
I mean, I guess he's doing his job to paint a picture, but eventually you'll see the video and be able to make your own determination. But the bottom line is, my nephew's dead.
This court appearance ended with Cruz being kept in custody. The next development in the case, motions due from the defense on March 5th.
A friend of Jaya's stated she personally didn't believe it was in her friend's character to have attacked someone without a reason. She said her friend would never hurt someone unless she was being provoked. She said, quote, "She's a nice young lady. She is not the type that just come out in the street and attacking people. This is just a bad neighborhood. What happened? I have no idea because I was not around yet. I don't know, but I do know if she said it was in self-defense, it was in self-defense." End quote. Now, during that court hearing is when things got wild. You see, as I mentioned, the defense were basically making self-defense claims as though Jaya had been the one under attack and needed to protect herself. You had people in the courtroom shouting out, like, are you kidding me? For the self-defense claims. And there was trans rights people there. There were USPS employees. There was friends and family for both sides that was present. It was so tense in the courtroom to the point that, according to amnewyork.com, court officers needed to remove some of the people that were in there. And District Attorney Bragg stated, quote, "This alleged broad daylight stabbing shook the neighborhood, including the deli workers and customers who witnessed the attack. My thoughts are with those grieving the loss of Ray Hodge, a postal worker and a beloved father," end quote. Now, it's being reported that after Jaya got arrested, she made the most disgusting, inhumane statement to police in a recorded confession at the 28th Station Precinct. According to the Daily News, Jaya told police just hours after her arrest, quote, "I hope he's maggot food. I killed him laughing. Oh well, I'll piss on his grave," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "I did spit on him because he called me a F-bomb," end quote. She said Ray struck her 3 times before she pulled the knife out to stab him in self-defense. She said she told him if he came near her again, she'd killed him. She told investigators, quote, "No motherfuckers are gonna put their hands on me no more. He tried to mess with me because I'm trans, and I poked him up," end quote. Now, sidebar, I think she's real stupid if she ever thinks that nobody's going to try to beat the shit out of her anymore moving forward in this lifetime. You're going to jail. They're going to beat the shit out of you many more times, stupid. But anyways, she said as she stabbed Ray, some of his last words to her was him saying, "You really stabbed me." And Jaya said she told him, "Yeah, yep, I did." Jaya told investigators that she suffers from mental health issues, obviously, and she blacked out during the attack. She stated, quote, "My crazy has no rhyme or rhythm. I told him, if you put your hands on me, I'ma stab you in the fucking jugular. You attacking me," end quote. Now keep in mind, Jaya is a whopping 6'5". Witnesses said she towered over everybody in that store and appeared to have possibly been on drugs. Ray's funeral was held on Thursday, January 16th in Harlem. And when I tell you damn near all of the Bronx, all of Harlem, all of the damn USPS workers from his station and other stations showed up for this young man's departure, it was crazy out there. You could get a gist of those in attendance in these photos, but this does nothing for how flooded the streets of Harlem were. A close friend of mine was out there, and I wish I would have saved the video she posted while she was out there because, my goodness, like, it was jam-packed, shoulder-to-shoulder people in the streets for blocks and blocks on end, all for the love of Ray. It was beautiful to see that many people show up for him, and I truly believe that, it's a testament to how he impacted people's lives. I know a lot of times you hear how wonderful a person was while they were living on this planet, and it gets redundant to hear, but Ray was really one of them ones. Now, of course, New York City has been in an uproar behind this because not only was Ray loved ever so deeply, but I don't know if you can tell by now that Miss Jaya is a transgender woman. She's a part of the trans community. So as you can imagine, there has been a ton of misgendering, trans bashing, a ton of slanderous words about her gender identity. But, what's also disgusting is how people on her side who knew her has been defending her actions. They're shouting justice for Jaya, but there's simply no justice for her. It's not. Now, Jaya has been indicted on second-degree homicide, and she's facing up to 25 years to life in prison if she's convicted. Last I checked, she was currently being housed in the Roses building in Rikers, which is the women's building. Of course, everyone is in an uproar about that. Everyone feels like she should be housed with the men. But you let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, when it comes to my thoughts, right? First and foremost, I want to say this real quick because I posted this story about Ray on both my Instagram and TikTok, but I figure I make it a full-length video on my channel because his story needs to be told. And I said this in my pinned comment on Instagram, but I'm going to have to say it here too. I've covered a couple stories before that involve people from the LGBTQIA plus community, and I've made it clear each of those times that I am an ally to the community. I always have been, and I always will be. When it comes to Jaya Cruz, as you heard throughout this story, I never misgendered her, not once, and I won't be misgendering her because it's not in me to do that. In my eyes, she presents herself as a she, her, so that's how I'll regard her. Now, in my comments on my social media, Tons of people misgendered her. People are disgusted with her. They are angry. They are hurt. They are outraged, and rightfully so, because I am too. And so those valid emotions that people have, unfortunately, allow them to misgender her. But what I won't tolerate and what I'm not okay with and what I will absolutely block you for is if you bash the entire trans community or queer community in general based on what Jaya did. Jaya and her delusional batshit crazy supporters, they are all a small section of the community, and they all can shove their faces in horse manure for all I care, but by no means are they a reflection of the community in its entirety. It's not fair to put that jacket of heinous, murderous actions on the community. So I'm gonna tell you now, if you think you're about to bash the entire community in my comments, whether it's the whole LGBTQIA or just the trans, you will be blocked expeditiously. And when it comes to those supporters of hers, I've put a couple of y'all bozos on blast in my Instagram stories because y'all was stupid enough to comment from y'all business and personal pages. So since you want to be seen so bad, then I'm going to give you the attention that you're looking for. And since I'm here with it, let me tell y'all Jaya supporters something here. If you even think about coming in my comments trying to support her weird ass, you getting blocked. But if you're stupid enough to comment from a page that I can trace, I will absolutely put you on blast too. Y'all gotta know by now, I do not play that victim bashing stuff. And if you didn't know, you're aware now. Now that the disclaimer is out the way, let's move on. This story is so heartbreaking, it's senseless, and could have easily been avoided. In the intro, I mentioned how one wrong decision could change the trajectory of your life forever. And when I said that, I was speaking about Jaya. I know there's people, in the comments on my social media, they're like, oh, Ray shouldn't have argued with her. But truth be told, Jaya has been a knife-wielding weirdo for a little minute now. This is not her first time attacking somebody with a knife. She was arrested before for stabbing and cutting other people, and thankfully they survived their attacks. Jaya, to me, was the one who made the wrong decision that changed her life forever. Because now she finna be sitting up in prison for a long time, God willing. Because if it wasn't Ray, it would have been somebody else. All Ray did was respond to being spat on. People could exchange words all day. You want to call me this, I'm going to call you that. But what right did Jaya have to release her bodily fluids on that man, which kicked off all of this violence, even if he did put hands on her? I could see how somebody would just impulsively, the first thing they think is to boop, boop, boop. You spat. That's spit. That's disgusting. You spat on him. So yeah, he probably popped it off on you. He probably did. And I could see why. And then get into the mind of Jaya, right? This is why I say ain't no justice for her. She really sat up and said, she laughed at Ray as he was dying. She said she hopes he's maggot food. First of all, I'm going to just take it there. I feel like this was culture/race driven. Yes, I do. Because those people that she attacked before with knives, they were black also, black men. Because why are you so angry at this black man who was just ordering a sandwich and you came into the store staticky?
The prosecution described Cruz as the aggressor who argued with Hodge and, quote, used racial slurs against him before taking out a knife and stabbing Hodge multiple times in the chest and neck.
What's crazy about that news clip is I only saw that after I wrote my thoughts down about the racial part. And then to hear that she did make racial slurs at him, come on. I know what I be talking about. I know a racist when I see one. It's all in the way they have this utter disdain for people who look like me, for real. For people who's in our community, you understand? She even admitted to calling him a dirty monkey. And she said that he said something hurtful to her, so that's why she said it. Now, I'm pretty sure you probably just said that because nobody else said that they heard him calling you names. But everybody said that they heard you hurling racial slurs at him. And even if that was the case, why not just leave it at hurtful words? And like I already said, the store owner said she was the one who had all of the energy for Ray. And to the point where they had got in between them to separate them. And she still went after Ray. And then to have laughed and say you hope that he's mad. Listen, this man was a father in a pivotal role in the community. You had to have hatred for him. You had to have hated who he was and what he looked like, period. That type of deep hatred for a stranger is rooted in something else. And then you got some black women, right? You got black women, you got black trans women defending this. Defending the fact that a father raising 3 young kings who will never see their father again is gone. behind something that an unhinged human did to him as a result of an argument in a place in line at the store for a sandwich. Come on now. It was even crazier. Remember the brief story I did about Michael Woody, the young man who was murdered in the Bronx because he was set up by his ex-girlfriend to be killed by her father and another man that was assumed to be her uncle? Well, Michael and Ray were legit stepbrothers. When Michael's life was taken, Ray was tore up about it. He was torn to pieces. He was still grieving and mourning the loss of his brother, because neither Ray nor Michael referred to each other as stepbrother. They referred to each other as brothers. And shortly after Mike's life was taken, Ray followed up. You know, it's truly a devastating line of events. New Year's will never be the same for Ray's family, but I pray that as they bring in each year, they could look at it as a time to celebrate Ray's life in his memory and honor with hugs, tears, smiles, music, and laughter, remembering the kind, gentle soul that he was. It's really messed up that both he and Mike's children have to grow up without their fathers behind senseless acts of violence. Familia, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much. You already know how we do. Leave your thoughts in the comments and let's chop it up below. I'm not chopping it up with no Jaya supporters. You come to my comments, you're getting blocked. Make fun of Ray and I'm putting you on blast. It's that simple. Familia, tell me how the story made you feel. Does this skew your perception about the trans community as a whole? And please express your thoughts respectfully. Do you believe that when that footage is released, we'll see Ray physically attacking her after getting spat on? And if so, do you believe he was well within his rights to do so? I think no matter what or how things played out in a nutshell, Ray did not deserve to be killed. And it's just that simple. Jaya deserves the worst of the worst punishment she can face, period. I want to send my deepest condolences to all of Ray's family, all of his loved ones, his friends, the community, his co-workers, everybody that's been affected by his untimely demise. Rest in peace, Ray Alexander Hodge III. May your spirit live on with your loved ones forever. You'll never be forgotten.